For the first time in franchise history, the Houston Texans kick off in the afternoon of the opening Sunday of the NFL season. They're in LA, taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Where are the advantages for the Houston Texans in this matchup? Where do the Rams have big time advantages? We'll get to all of that, plus your questions, comments, joys, and concerns. Put together a sleeper entry for the Friday night Brazil game and so much more. Appreciate you for watching the video. Throw me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let's talk about this Texans and Rams matchup. I went through and I looked and I wanted to make sure that the Texans had never kicked off in the afternoon slate of that first Sunday. And I went through the entire franchise history. And of course, there's been some Sunday night debuts. There's been some Monday night debuts. Brian Cushing against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. The Saints Monday Night Football game. There's been a Thursday night open the season. Remember when COVID happened and the Texans started the season against the Chiefs, and it looked good for a quarter, and then it didn't look good after that. That was the start of a horrible season for the Texans, but they've never started in that afternoon spot against an opponent in week one to get the season going. Franchise history on Sundays. They take on those Los Angeles Rams. Really good opponent. If you're thinking about the Texans going to the AFC Championship, having a Super Bowl contention type of season, then this is one of those games that desperately needs to be in the win column for the Texans. Will Anderson talked about it at the end of the season last year when they've got to quit losing to the Jets. They got to quit losing to the Titans. They need things to go through NRG Stadium. The Texans feel like they play better at home. Most teams play better at home. You don't want to take it on the road. You don't want to go to Kansas City or Baltimore or Buffalo or whoever else may be the elite of the elite in the AFC. You want it to go through Houston. Well, if you're trying to get out of that 4 seed that the AFC South champion so often occupies, you need this victory if you're the Houston Texans. This is one of those games where you look through and you play the win-win, loss-loss game, and you're like, okay, they go 5-1 in the division, and they beat this team and they beat that team. And when you go through and you play the win-win, loss game, this is one of those flip games. This is one of those games where, hey, you win against the Rams, maybe you climb into that 3rd seed. Maybe you climb into that 2nd seed in the AFC. If you lose to the Rams, it's going to be more difficult because then you need to flip a game where you're not going to be a big favorite, like at Kansas City, at Baltimore. Some of those more difficult games across the course of your schedule. You'll need to flip a couple of those if you don't get the Rams. And my goodness, wouldn't it be a nice way to start the season with a victory against what is not only a playoff contender in the LA Rams, but coming out of the NFC, the Rams are Super Bowl contenders. This is a very good football team the Texans are playing against on Sunday, but there's some clear advantages for the Texans. There's some clear advantages for the Rams, and let's get to it. I love to do this exercise, pull up the board and put the check marks next to each position and see who's winning and who's having success at the various breakdowns. So without further ado, let's get the board out. Let's get to the check marks after we go through the offense. Take some of the comments, the questions, the joys, and the concerns. We'll get to the defense, sleeper pick as well. We're not going to start at the top of the quarterback. We'll get there in a minute. I want to go straight to the offensive line. Now, right away, I'm putting a check mark here over by the Rams. And really the only question that I have when I compare the Texans offensive line versus the Rams offensive line is how much better and how much more confident should the Rams feel about their offensive line versus the Texans? This was almost, to me, as I was thinking about it, a 2 check mark situation. I'm not giving the Texans a check mark. The Rams have experience. They've got guys that played together, and they just have a little bit more solidarity to their offensive line than the Texans. I like both their guards, Avila and Dotson. Their tackles have played a lot of football. So this is a solid group. Now, I don't know if the Rams win the offensive line matchup very many times versus other teams, but most of the year when we go to the O-line part of this, there's going to be a check over here and there probably won't be a check over here. But the Texans have some potential to put together a coherent, cohesive, and work together offensive line and be enough on enough of a consistent basis. That's my big thing for the offensive line. This year's not about the ceiling for the O-line. It's about the floor. Don't be really, really bad. Don't destroy the offense because you can't block, and be enough times throughout the year. Now, that's not going to get you a bunch of check marks over here on this side, but it is going to be enough for a couple of teams. Special teams, I have no large feeling one way or the other about either of these special teams units. And when it's a tie, usually I go ahead and just give both sides a check mark. The kicker balls being different this year, talking about that on Thursday Night Football, the kickoff between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I do wonder if that's the worst. My goodness, that's the worst check mark I've ever seen in my life. I do wonder if that gives Kaimi Fairbairn on those inside or a not weather-affected games just a little bit more distance because they get to work on the kicking balls more this year, as Tarico was telling that story. So 2 checks over on the Rams side, 1 check over on the Texans side. Let's go to running back. Now, if this was Joe Mixon, I'd put a running back check here, and I'd put a running back check here for Kyren Williams. But, man, Kyren Williams is so damn good. And I don't know what to expect out of the committee that the Texans are going to run out there with Chubb and Pierce and Marks and Dare Ogunbowale. I know what to expect out of Kyren Williams. And DeMeco Ryans had some immense praise for Kyren Williams this week. He talked about the contact balance. He talked about how he can make you look silly if you are not on top of things, if you're not swarming to him. And I did like the way Azeez Al-Shire talked about it. And this is one of those, like, linebackers are a little off type things. This was such a fun comment from Azeez Al-Shire. He said, hey, somebody asked about the contact balance, how good Kyren Williams is. And Azeez Al-Shire said, yeah, my job is to go out there and hit the guy with the football and just, be violent. And then he just kind of threw in there. He's like, oh, I saw Kyren, got paid, took care of his family, retired his mom. And that's such a, I don't want to say it in a negative connotation, but that's such a psycho linebacker thing to be like, yeah, he retired his mom and I'm going to hit him now because he has the football. That's just such a, that's a linebacker thing. That's something you'd see in a movie about football where the linebacker's like, yeah, I saw that he retired his mom. Now I'm going to retire him. But I just thought Azeez slid that in there. He's like, yeah, great for him. He got paid, taking care of his family. And when he has the ball, I'm going to hit him. And so I like that. But Kyren Williams is very good. Most of the time last year, when he had a good day, the Rams won a football game. I know that sounds very simplistic. Hey, when the running back has a good day, they win the football game. But when you think about how good Stafford is, how good that rest of that offense is, if Kyren Williams is also having a good day, it's going to be pretty tough to beat the Rams. You're going to have to put it on Kyren Williams. Now, here we go. Wide receiver / tight end. And I grouped these together because it's really just the pass catchers, okay? Look, Nico Collins deserves a check mark. I mean, he is one of the best wide receivers in all of football. And when healthy, he is absolutely a force that you have to reckon with when you're an opposing defense. You have to be ready to account for Nico Collins if you are facing the Houston Texans. And you know what Nico Collins is right now? Healthy. All right? If Christian Kirk was going to be healthy and playing in this one, maybe I could try to convince you that with the depth the Texans have enough to just get this check mark and maybe tie the Rams, because Puka Nacua over here is very, very good. Again, one of the best wide receivers in all of football. 2 guys that are just incredible wide receivers right now across the landscape of the NFL, and Nico Collins and Puka Nacua. They do very different things. They do it very different ways, but they're both very successful. And I like Davante Adams a lot. I almost like Davante Adams enough to put another check mark right here, but I'm not going to. Okay? I'm not going to. I will say this. I do feel like the overall talent that the Rams have, when you factor in Adams and Nacua together, outweighs what the Texans have. But the Texans' depth, I'm excited to see what Jalen Noel brings to the table. I'm excited to see what Jaden Higgins brings to the table. Xavier Hutchinson has played well. And you look at the depth chart of the Rams behind Nacua. When you look at the depth chart of the Rams behind Davante Adams, it's not super impressive. Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington. There's not a lot to get excited about behind Puka Nacua and behind Davante Adams. And then the tight ends, Parkinson, T. Ferg over there in L.A., and Higbee, maybe that offsets the Texans' depth a little bit because Texans don't have depth at tight end, and they didn't play well last year at tight end. But I think a tie here between the pass catchers is pretty worthwhile because the Texans have a little bit of depth and the Rams have a much higher level of talent in their top part of their wide receiver room. So a couple of checks here for the Rams, just a few checks here for the Texans. Let's go to the quarterback. I mean, if this was healthy Matt Stafford, I might go 2 checks over here, but with the back injury, I'm just going to go with 1 check here for Matt Stafford. So just 1 check here. Look, Stafford's very good. He is the ultimate get off the training table, sling the ball around the yard, make your defense look silly, make you regret thinking that he was hurt, banged up, and wasn't going to be able to go. He can put the ball wherever he wants. He's a no-look throw guy. He's got full control of the offense. He is a extension of McVay when it comes to organization of the offense, and then whatever Stafford can just make happen with the different arm angles and his toughness and ability to extend a play, trust the pocket. C.J. Stroud talked this week about how Stafford operates really well in messy pockets. So I'm going advantage Stafford. It's 1 check mark to no check mark here. It's just a slight advantage Stafford. But this could very easily be where 4 or 5 weeks from now, this offense is clicked for C.J. Stroud. He's feeling it. He's back to 2023 form and maybe even better. And this would have been a check mark C.J. Stroud side or 2 checks on C.J. side, 1 check on Stafford side. But right now, going into week 1, before we've seen the new offense, before we've seen what C.J. Stroud can do to bounce back from last season's disappointing performance, we're going check mark Stafford. So 5 check marks for the Rams here when we look at the offense, and just a deuce over here for the Texans. So 5-2, big advantage here for the Rams. When you look at the offense, we're doing the check marks here. Big advantage here for the Rams. Close to adding a check mark for CJ, but not quite there. And, you could really say it's 4-1. I just gave both special teams a check mark. Tough to, say a ton about the special teams early on. Their kicker's fine. Kymie's fine. Their punter's fine. Tommy Townsend's fine. So that's where we are in the offense. We'll get to the defense here in just a moment, but I want to answer your questions, your comments, your joys, and your concerns. Where did I get it wrong on the offense? We'll go back over it here in a moment, and we will get to the defense as well. Let's go ahead and put up the carryover from the offense. There's 5 from the offense. There's 2 from the offense. We'll get through the D-line, the linebackers, corners, safeties, and the CS, which is the coaching staff. We'll get to all that after we talk to you. Appreciate you for being in the comment section. Appreciate you for watching the video. And Caffeine with Cody is alive and well this morning. The cherry limeade version of the Rise Energy drink. It's a treat. The first time I tasted this, I didn't like it. I love it now, though. Took some getting used to. David, good to see you. Panda, appreciate you for being in. Good morning to you. Remember, if you are a member, you get those custom emojis in the chat that you can use. At the course of the chat, we will have some new ones added as the season goes along. We'll retire some of the old ones and bring in some of the new ones. The custom emojis are very fun, in addition to early access to videos and some member-only type stuff as well. Tazewell, good to see you. Drew, appreciate you. Eddie, good to see you. Let's go H-Town. Good to see you in here. My friend Jake, appreciate you. Sean, hey, you're ready for Caffeine with Cody. Samson, appreciate you. As Panda notes, hit the like button. It's a little thumbs up there at the bottom of the video. Helps me get this video out to more Texans fans. And if this is anything like the Chargers one last year, helps me get it out to some Rams fans, and they'll be mad about this, I'm sure. Rick, good morning to you. Tazewell, the annual Saturday 3:30 playoff game. Yeah, they finished some seasons and started some postseasons there, but never started the regular season there. Neon, good to see you. Ashton, appreciate you. I think Caffeine with Cody, it might stick here. It might stick. Maybe one day it'll be coffee. Maybe one day it'll be a Coke Zero. Maybe one day it'll be caffeine pills. But you never know how I'm going to get the caffeine. You never know. Neon says, how soon can I move Kirk to my IR spot in fantasy? When will he be ruled out? He will likely be officially ruled out this afternoon. They'll probably list him as out when the injury report comes out. So I'd think late tonight. It's probably when you can officially do that. Good to see you, Patrick. Sean, appreciate you. Johnny, I would like more at which O-line does better versus the others. Defense, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that, Johnny. Don't you worry. Two Fried, good morning to you. Brett, O-line will be tested early. The offense should punish the LA defense. That's his thoughts. Pawn, good to see you. Stone alone 5 times. Good to see you, my friend. Peter, appreciate you jumping in. We'll never have a fully healthy wide receiver room ever. Kind of feels that way. Wide receiver going to be tough on both sides. Yeah, it's going to be really tough for the Rams wide receivers because you're going to throw a lot at those two guys and say, hey, if the other guys beat us, beat us. But you can't go out there and just let Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams do what they do and beat you. Petrie in the slot, when those guys find themselves in the slot, that'll be a fun matchup to watch for the Texans defense versus the Rams offense. And then on the flip side, this is not a very good Rams cornerback room. We'll talk about that in a minute when we go through the defense, but it's not a very good Rams cornerback room. It's a very bleh group. Like they're very okay. And this Rams defense is predicated on, we're not going to cover really long, but that's okay because we're going to get after your quarterback and we're going to make his life a living hell because we have a really impressive defensive line. And we'll talk about their defensive line. There's some absolute ballers on their defensive line, but do they have enough to get a check mark or more check marks than the Texans? We'll find out. Hopefully one game ever we'll have a fully healthy wide receiver room. Yeah, hopefully. With the Texans' luck, and I don't want this to happen, but the Texans' luck, Kirk will be back and somebody else will be out. That's the luck they've had here. This is a fun chess match with this wide receiver room. Hey, it's my friends over at Texas Sports Unfiltered. If you are a Texas fan, Texas Sports Unfiltered is the place to get daily, all-day coverage of the Longhorns. I'm sure it was a fun week talking about Arch Manning, but visit my friends at Texas Sports Unfiltered if you are a Texas fan. Subscribe to their channel, and it is my old buddy BK who runs that crew over there. So go visit with BK over there and talk some Longhorns football with him and throw a couple of horns downs at him as well. Yeah, no more penalties for that, BK, huh? No more penalties. No check for Stroud? Yeah, just no check for CJ Stroud in the offense. I couldn't justify that check for Stroud because Stafford's better right now, and Stroud was a little disappointing last year in the stuff that CJ was in control of. I understand the circumstances surrounding CJ, but no check for CJ. There will be plenty of games where CJ gets a check. There will be games where CJ gets 2 checks and the other guy gets no checks. And if Stroud gets rolling, there could be some significant advantages at quarterback later on in the season. Larry Roach. Okay, Cody, you love the LA Rams. Maybe you should start doing your program on them. Hey, Larry, maybe you should hang around until we talk about the defense, huh? Nope, that's just the offense. Remember, you can't lose a shutout. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned. Patrick says, I think this is how Vegas determines its lines. Yeah, we think this, and then -3. Something like that. Okay. A couple more comments here. Good to see you, 21. Good to see you, Trill. Rich boy, appreciate you. And here's some super chats from Wags. Great servant, brother. Happy Friday. I think he meant to say great segment. Thank you, Wags, for jumping in. You are a very loyal viewer, and I appreciate these super chats. Thank you so much. And we haven't even got to the defense yet. Wait till we get to the defense. Doyle says he paused Payne and Pendergast to jump in here. Well, I mean, that's beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Cornelius, morning, favorite breakfast taco and place to get them. Oh, man. See, Mama Stoots makes a great breakfast taco. So a lot of times if I just want breakfast tacos, I call up Mama Stoots. I'm like, hey, can you make some breakfast tacos? And she's like, sure, honey. But I like to go to, what's the place over there in Washington? Laredo? Is that what it's called? I think that's the place. I think that's the name of the place. But man, I trust a taco shop. There's a place over on Bel Air. I don't know the name of the place. It's it's between Hillcroft and Renwick. It's got good, there's so many good breakfast tacos. And then if you want to go to like a barbecue joint, a Pit Room does breakfast tacos, and you get Pit Room brisket in your breakfast tacos, which is primo. So get to defense here in just a second. Okay, get to defense here in just a second. Do want to tell you about a sponsor we're going to have this football season, Sleeper Daily Fantasy. It is so easy to play daily fantasy. You're predicting at least 2, sometimes 5 different predictions together, more or less, on various stats, and you could 100 times your entry and win. If you get them all correct, you could 5 times your entry. Put a little simple one together and have some fun with Sleeper. It is the best way to play daily fantasy. You guys know I love daily fantasy. And with my code Stoots, you're getting a $100 deposit match up to $100. So you put in 100, you get 100. You put in 50, you get 50. You put in 99, you get 99. You put in 86, you get 86. I don't know why you do that. Maybe you're a big Dalton Schultz fan. But yeah, so Stoots is the promo code. There's a link in the description down below, and we're going to put together entries with each other over the course of the season. We're off to a pretty good start. An entry put on earlier this week because we used that Dak Prescott freebie. This one tonight, hey, there's lots of stuff you could put together, but I wanted to get one together for just tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Chargers in Brazil. And let's be honest, coming off the big off season, coming off the busy off season, he looks like $1 million. You got to think Travis Kelce's getting into the end zone, and you got to think my guy Ladd McConkey's getting into the end zone. You put them together, you end up putting $5 in there. You got a chance to turn 5 into over $28 if both those guys get in the end zone. That's how the Chargers play offense. That's how the Chiefs play offense. I mean, they're both getting in the end zone, right? More than half a receiving touchdown for Kelce and McConkey. And we're going to win $28 on that one. This is the entry for you. If you want to get in, Sleeper, use the code STOOTS, STOOTS, to get a match up to $100. Terms and conditions do apply. Check that out in Sleeper. Legal in over 25 states. Game of skill. And we are hopefully going to be very skilled this year and be very good at Sleeper. Appreciate them for sponsoring this video. And I'll tell you that members to the channel, you might get some private Sleeper picks over on the post page for the YouTube channel. And maybe I'll recap all the Sleeper picks for the week for you as well. Over there, we appreciate Sleeper for sponsoring the video. All right. We'll get to Wags' super chat. We'll get to the defense here right now. Wags says, set the segment with a Rams content provider. Could SNL do that maybe during the week leading up to the game? Provided such great perspective. I don't know if SNL would do that. From time to time, I'll have a friend who covers the opposing team on, like ahead of the Jacksonville game. We'll be talking to my friend Mia O'Brien, who covers the Jags and is the best when it comes to covering the Jags. So we'll have some guests here on this channel from time to time, probably not on SNL. We don't really do guests on SNL unless the McClainer wants to roll by at Spanky's a week from today. Maybe we'll have the McClainer on. But Wags, appreciate the question and the super chat. So let's get to this defense here. Texans defensive line, obviously super impressive. We'll save the D-line for last. Let's go ahead and get the guys that don't actually affect the game too much out of the equation here. All right. And I know that I say that, but the coaches don't make any tackles. The coaches don't score any points. They put the players in position to succeed. McVay is very, very good. And what happened there? What's going on with my little marker? Get out of here. McVay is very, very good. I'm going to give him 2 check marks. Sean McVay is excellent. He's one of the best coaches in all of the National Football League. He does a great job maximizing what his team can do. And he's done a really great job evolving as an offensive play caller, where he used to be kind of set in his ways, and he's changed and he's adjusted and moved things around with his offense. And he still does what he does really well, really well. He's getting 2 check marks. And I'm going to give D'Amico Ryans a check mark because he has made some quarterbacks' lives living hell in his time as the defensive play caller and the head coach of the Houston Texans, and certainly his success in the past. Now, is there something that might be, just a little bit of an equalizer here between the 2 coaches? Could there be maybe some history there? Yes, there is some history there. D'Amico has had a lot of success against Sean McVay in the past. I don't believe you can underrate that. In addition to the fact that this is not just about the coaches, it's about the coaching staff. Shula, the DC for the Rams, come on, not great. All right, now Nick Caley, you're saying to yourself, well, Nick Caley's an unknown. Exactly. Nick Caley is a total unknown. It's hard to prepare for the unknown. And Nick Caley downplayed that this week, but it's a bigger deal than he's given it credit for. I'm calling the coaching staffs a tie. The situations that DeMeco has had success against the Rams before, how good McVay is, how not good Shula is, the unknown of Nick Caley, we're going to go with a tie here between these two. Let's roll over to safety. I like this safety crew that the Rams have. Cameron Kinchens, who is a second-year player out of Miami, who's a part of their safety room, is such a fun player. He was a really good draft prospect in last year's draft and had a really good season. Cam Curl, who's out there for them at safety, is a really solid player. And I know the depth, okay? I know the depth isn't totally there for the Texans, but the top two is. And Kalen Bullock, after the rookie season that he had, and adding C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who has played this Rams team quite a bit here. I just can't give the check mark to the Rams, even though I like a little bit of what they got going on there at safety. That check mark's going to go to the Houston Texans on this one. A big advantage for the Houston Texans when it comes to comparing these two safeties. Let's go over to linebacker. Not a lot to talk about here about linebacker. And when you look at the Rams depth chart, it's going to say that some of their key pass rushers are linebackers, like outside linebackers. I'm going to talk about that when it gets to the defensive line. We'll talk about the Rams defensive line and their pass rushers here. This to me was really about the inside guys, the inside linebackers. And I'm just going to go simply a check mark to the Texans. Azeez Al-Shire, very good. Christian Harris, super athletic. Henry To'o played really well last year. EJ Speed's a great depth player. Not a lot to write home about the Rams. Inside linebackers, obviously, I know when you look at linebacker, you'll see some of their pass rushers. That goes into the defensive line category. So you start to see how the Texans are racking them up over here. Cornerback. This, to me, is the biggest gulf of talent. This is the biggest gulf of talent between these two teams. The Texans' cornerback situation with their guys is so much better than the Rams' cornerback situation. This is the biggest gulf. It's bigger than the O-line comparisons. And so this is going to be a 2 check for the Texans, a no check for the Rams. I mean, Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley are the best cornerback duo in all of football. And they're going to be tested really well against Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. But you have faith that Lassiter can get it done. You have faith that Derek Stingley can get it done because you know what they did most of last year? They got it done. Stingley's awesome. He can go one-on-one with anybody on any portion of the field, and he's one of the best cornerbacks in all of football. Pat Surtain's probably the only guy that's better than him. And then Kamari Lassiter was one of the best rookie cornerbacks last year. And then when you put his stats across the league against just all cornerbacks, he was a really good just cornerback. Rookie status, not even in a factor into that. Very good. The Rams are very average here at cornerback. Not to say that they're bad, because they're not. They're not bad. They're just very average on a good day. So the Texans getting 2 check marks over there at cornerback. All right, let's talk about the Rams here. This defensive line's nasty. I have a lot of respect for how the Rams put together this defensive line because for a long time, their front 7 was Aaron Donald and then just kind of filled in around him. Okay? Aaron Donald and just kind of filled in around him. And then when Aaron Donald got out of there, they went through and they hit on some mid-round picks. They hit on a first-round pick. They hit on a second-round pick. They've done a really good job transforming that front 7 and transforming their ability to rush the passer. I like Jared Verse, even though he doesn't convert a lot of his pressures to sacks. Amongst the top 20 pass rushers, he only had a 1% conversion rate of his pressures to sacks. That was the lowest amongst the top 20 pressure guys last year. He's a really impressive player, second-year player. If he takes a big jump, they're going to be awesome. Braden Fisk was a rookie last year for them, defensive tackle out of Florida State. One of my favorite draft prospects last year. He had an awesome year. A couple of years ago, they got Kobe Turner and Byron Young, really nice players, can rush the passer. And a couple of those guys were nipping at Will Anderson's heels for sack totals, Will Anderson's rookie year. And then Poona Ford is one of my favorite under-the-radar defensive linemen across the league. He was on the Chargers last year, and then the Rams picked him up in free agency. The Rams are getting a check mark over here. It's a good crew. It's a good crew. They can get after the quarterback. And this offensive line for the Houston Texans is going to have a very tough time in long pass sets keeping C.J. Stroud clean. It's a good defensive line room. But the Texans have a great defensive line room. The Texans are great at defensive line. I believe the Rams are very good. The Texans are great. They possess the best pass rush duo in all of football with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. They possess incredible depth at defensive end. So if Hunter and Anderson are taking a breather, you're throwing Derek Barnett out there, which is a trusty veteran. You're throwing Darrell Taylor out there, who has looked amazing in the preseason. You're throwing Dylan Horton out there, who finally has his body where it wants to be after he dealt with all of the health challenges to start his career in the National Football League. And then at the interior, you've got the ability to mix and match based on the situation. You can put run stuffers in there. You can put pass rushers in there. They've got 5 guys they trust on the interior. At defensive tackle, the Texans are getting 2 checks here at defensive line. And Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are so damn good, I almost wanted to give them a 3rd check. But if I couldn't give the Texans a 3rd check down here, I couldn't give them a 3rd check up here. So as you see, while the Rams may have a big offensive advantage, 5-2, and we factored in the special teams as well, the Texans have a very big defensive advantage. They are the much better defense in this matchup against the LA Rams. So let's add this to the Rams total. There's 3 from the D. That brings us to 8 for the Rams. The Texans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 for the Texans to add to the 2 from the offense and special teams. Oh, look at that. Where'd that one guy say, "Oh, Cody, you're a Rams homer"? Where'd he go? All right, how about that? 10-8 when you add up all the check marks here between the 2 teams. I just don't love the secondary for the Rams. Their linebackers are very bleh. And really, I probably could have put a 3rd check here at cornerback. That's how big I think the talent gulf is. And the Rams, it's a really good defensive line room. It's not a great defensive line room just yet. The Texans have a great defensive line. And yes, as Doyle notes, I did the math all by myself, and sometimes I mess these up. If you watched the Chargers video last year, I miscounted, but look at me go. Caffeine with Cody, Sesame Street with Cody. We'll learn to count. That's 10 check marks. All right, there we go. Get to your comments, your questions, your joys and concerns. After that, plenty to talk about. All right. Eric asked, Cody, random questions. I'd pick up Quinshon Judkins, the Browns running back. He's a free agent in my league. If you have the roster room, I mean, stash him, I guess, but I just have a feeling he's not going to affect the team very much this year. We got the breakfast taco people flying in here. Pappas Barbecue, great breakfast brisket tacos. Boa Homeschool says Villa Arcos on navigation. Pit Room Breakfast Tacos will have you burping a week later and tasting barbecue. That's barbecue in general. You know, you venture into the world of barbecue for breakfast, you're going to taste it most of the day. Austin says, do I put the house on Houston this week? This is not the week to put the house on Houston. A little sprinkle if you wanted to. Sure. Doyle says, yay, more gambling ads. To be fair, Sleeper is not gambling. It's a game of skill. It's daily fantasy. It's not gambling. Patrick, Austin, you can put the house on Houston and Cody's Survivor League. I'm glad you brought that up, Patrick, and I need to make sure that I put the link in the description, but I'll put the link in the chat right now. I have a Survivor League that I want you to join. If you defeat me, you will win a prize. If you are the last person standing, you win a more significant prize. But it's the Houston Football Survivor League. We already have 60 people in there. 60 people in there. And here is the Survivor League link. I will make sure I put this in the description after the video. So join the Survivor League. If you haven't joined the Survivor League before, get it over on Yahoo. It'll be a fun time. Trill Kick X with the super chat. Cody, do you think Sting will follow Adams? I don't believe Derek Stingley will follow Devontae Adams because you still have Puka Nacua to account for. So, and D'Amico Ryans doesn't love using Sting in a following manner very much. He will at times. If there's one guy that you're really worried about, sometimes he does it. When there's multiple guys, if Adams is on the left side, you're going to have Puka Nacua opposite him more than likely. So there's somebody for Sting to guard without following. Now they throw him on the same side. Maybe you want to put the guys on the same side. There's something to that too, but I don't anticipate a follow for Devontae Adams from Derek Stingley. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. That's always a good question too when you think about impressive wide receivers coming up on the matchup. Is should Sting travel? Week 2 you probably won't do it because there should be some impressive guys outside of Mike Evans. But week 3, do you travel with BTJ and just hope Travis Hunter doesn't get you? Or week 4, do you travel with Calvin Ridley? I think I'd probably travel with Calvin Ridley, make things real tough on Cam Ward. Week 5, there's not an individual Raven to travel with. I guess you could travel with Zay Flowers, but Bateman had 9 touchdowns last year, so probably not a lot of travel opportunities. SideTex says this is the best podcast. Thank you, SideTex. Panda wanted 4 checks for the cornerbacks for the Texans. Johnny just learned that LA's D coordinator is the grandson of the famous Don Shula. Thanks for the internet dive, Stoots. Yeah. Not been a super impressive coach in his coaching career. Okay, I'm not talking bad about the guy. Just hadn't been awesome. So, Reed says, greetings from Spain. Hello. Reed, thanks for checking in from Spain. How about that? Welcome to the chat. We had some UK folks in here yesterday because when I'm up early, they're up late. I don't know how the time zones were. I know U.S. time zones. I don't know the time zones there. But yeah, Reed, good to see you. Steven says, tell me you're a homer without telling me you're a homer. Don't. Houston Texan for life. Our defense has to carry us, basically. I mean, isn't that the situation for the Texans this year until the offense finds its footing, until we all have faith that Nick Caley and C.J. Stroud are going to get this thing going, and until the offense is rolling, until you have some things to believe in from the offensive standpoint, the defense is going to have to carry the situation for the Texans. It's, as Landry calls it all the time from the locker room, they're superpower. They're going to be a defensive forward team. The defense sets the floor for this team. As good as that defense is, they could probably win you 9, maybe 10 games. The floor is set by the defense. The ceiling is set by the offense. Where this team can go, what they can accomplish, overcoming a bad day from the defense, that's all on the offense's plate. The defense, being great, top 5, maybe top 3, maybe the best in football, they can set the floor. They can set the floor, and they can set the floor really high. And then where the ceiling goes, well, that's up to the offense. Trill Kick X. Do you think CD is on a pitch count? Like CD Lamb? No, I don't think so. I think they just had a hard time getting the rock to him last year. Oh, you mean no, it's CJ Gardner-Johnson. D'Amico Ryan said nothing for CJ Gardner-Johnson. Full go. So, full go for CJ Gardner-Johnson. I thought you meant CD Lamb. He did play last night, so I call him CJ GJ, or just I call him CJ Gardner-Johnson every time. Yeah, no, I think CJ Gardner-Johnson will be ready to go. He sounded ready to go. He said he was ready to go a couple of days after he got hurt in West Virginia. Don't know if I believe him. True Kick X, do you think we see more fumbles than sacks this season? No, because I think they have tremendous upside on getting a lot of sacks here. Fumbles than sacks. Like forced fumbles? Nah, they'll get more sacks. Trill Kick X, last one, I promise. You can send as many of these as you like. I'll answer all your questions if you want to attach them to the super chat. My boy's having a brisket potluck for the game. What do I bring to stand out? Okay, so I don't know that I fully understand the concept of a brisket potluck. If you have to bring brisket from somewhere else, then you go get brisket from the pit, not the pit room, from Truth, and then your brisket is the best. If you have to bring a side to the equation to go with brisket, then there's a multitude of ways you can go. I would say if you have to bring a side, go somewhere and pick up a couple sides from whatever your favorite barbecue place is and have it that way. Like if you wanted to go to Blood Brothers and get the brisket fried rice as well as their mac and cheese, maybe you could do that. Feegis has really good sides. Feegis barbecue out in Spring Branch. Pit Room's got some good sides as well. They got the corn. It's very good. You got to go bring sides. Go get sides from a barbecue place because their stuff is honed into being a complement to barbecue. Now, if you have to bring brisket, I think you just go get Truth Barbecue's brisket. But a brisket potluck, that sounds great. Maybe, I'm guessing he's making a brisket and you got to bring something. Everybody loves chicken tenders. You know, if not everybody's going to want to just fire down a whole bunch of brisket, and there may not be as much to go around if there's a lot of people. So go get you a big thing of chicken tenders from your favorite chicken tender place. It's a good way to stand out. If you have to bring another entree, dessert's always good. Something light, or, pick up banana pudding from somewhere. And that goes well with barbecue. So hope that answered your question, Trill. The Rhino. Wasn't ready to see such a dime piece on my feed this morning. Happy Friday, brother. Go Texans. Where's the dime piece? Are you talking about me? The Rhino, you're too kind. You are too kind. I appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. I know you watch the videos, and so I appreciate you for watching as well. Thank you, Rhino. Excuse me while I blow my nose because my allergies annihilate me in the morning. Okay, some more comments, some more questions, some more joys and concerns. Bubba Homeschool, last time I checked, Texas 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. $100 makes it interesting. A little sprinkle wouldn't be bad. I think I read that one. Where were we? Spain? Steven? Is Christian Harris healthy and starting? Christian Harris is healthy. Is he starting? TBD. I would not be surprised to see Henry To'oTo'o out there first with Azeez Al-Shaair, but I do believe Christian Harris will play quite a bit. Cherry Limeade got me. Calculon with some good advice. Hit the like button. BG was late. Hey, that rewind function is very useful. Very easy to use. Appreciate you checking in, BG. Appreciate you being a member. Calculon's asking, starting Jalen Nolan fantasy over Nick Chubb at flex, thumbs up or thumbs down? Well, I would think Chubb is probably the safer play. And here's why I would say that. Even though he's not maybe going to get a ton of yards, they get into a goal line situation. That's the back that's getting the ball, and that's the guy that is equipped to pound that thing in from a yard out. And that's 6 points for you right there. And then C.J. Stroud just kind of slid in there. Hey, he catches the ball better than you think he does. So maybe a little catch here and there for Nick Chubb. I mean, it's never going to be Cleveland Nick Chubb, but could it be useful? I lean a little bit towards, from that flex when you got that type of decision to make. If you've had some success elsewhere in the lineup, maybe you could play a little safe. If you need the bigger day, then Noel is obviously the potential for the bigger day because he could be the slot guy, catch him stuff in the red zone out of the slot, a lot of catches. So I'd lean Chubb if you need it safe. If you need the big day, you got to go Noel. I'm late, so I'll go back and watch from the beginning. Nothing to add. The current conversation. Hey, Cody, have you tried a dirty Coke Zero from Sonic? It's my favorite drink right now. Is that where they put the cream in the Coke Zero? I may have to try that. I do like a little half and half in the coffee from time to time, but throwing it in a Coke Zero, I don't know. Chewy, this is a good one. I'll have to check this out. Texans missing John Mechie? No. Mechie was a good slot receiver, and Jalen Knowles is a better football player than him right now. So, no, they're not missing him. Chucky Dog, worried about the interior D-line and stopping the run. If Rams can run, going to neutralize the pass rush coverage advantage. What's the beauty of Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter? They're full, complete pass rushers. Not only do they do their pass rush duties really well, they also help on the run. Will Anderson specifically, very good at that. And the Texans have the bodies in there to slow things down. Plus, Azeez, To'o, Harris, speed at linebacker. I'm not super worried about the between the tackle stuff. I am worried about Williams getting out in space maybe a little bit. It's kind of what I saw with Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit in the joint practice. Like, get him out in space. Maybe it's a little bit of a danger, but I'm not worried about the Rams playing bully ball and getting things going up the middle. Rick says, anywhere on airline and get you a breakfast taco. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Peter asks if the Survivor Pool grand prize is a teaser photo of Cody. It is not. It is not. But if you want 8x10s, I'll find a way to get you 8x10s. I'll sign them like I'm, a movie star. I don't think anybody really wants that, though. Dominic, appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't think anybody really wants, 8x10s of Cody, but Rams wide receivers about to cook. What, breakfast? They ain't cooking the Texans. Matt, Cody scale of 1 to 10, how big of a deal is it losing Christian Kirk? 10 being, oh my God, you can't overcome this, you're definitely losing. 1 being not a big deal. I'd lean like 5.5, 6, because Noel's talented. Noel can fill in for Christian Kirk. I just don't know that you want the rookie in there with no veteran backup at that slot spot. Plus, Nico can play in the slot. Higgins can play in the slot. Hutchinson can play in the slot. Watson can play in the slot. And obviously Noel can play in the slot. You've got options to play in the slot. You've got guys that can go out there and physically be in the slot in place of Christian Kirk. So it's not like oh my God, you can't overcome it. You just love a veteran to be there, and you have a little bit more confidence in a veteran like Kirk who's done it all than maybe a guy like Noel. But Noel's a talented guy, very strong, physical, and gets open quick, man. Gets open quick. Doyle says, I'm ready for some GD Texans football. You bet. You bet. Then he just says cocaine. Doyle, be easy now. It's Friday morning. We can't be firing that. Calculon recommended for the brisket potluck jalapeno poppers with sweet and sour sauce. Paulo Ferreira says, I think I said that name right. Sup, Cody? I'm going to be at the Sao Paulo game today. Who you got winning? I like the Chiefs. They do really well in divisional games. This is a divisional game. I like that they rebuilt their offensive line. I'm skeptical at their left tackle, but to transform things on the offensive line the way they did a good job. Mahomes, I feel like he understands there's a little bit more needed out of him from just turning that offense into a monster, and defense probably has just enough. And the Chargers, I like Amarion Hampton a lot, man. But I had the Chiefs squeak this one out here. Chiefs squeak this one out. Thank you for her. Okay, Trill Kicks clarifies. He's making brisket. We got to bring sides. Okay, all right. Austin says, am I delusional for believing in the Saints this year? Yeah. You are. Tazewell says, if Joe Mixon has a Liz Frank injury, if that's the case, if he has a Liz Frank injury, do you think it's career ending? I don't know that it's career ending, but I do know it would probably end his time with the Texans. I just don't believe you can wait for a guy like Joe Mixon to come back from that as one of your main options at running back. So I do believe that would be the end of Joe Mixon's Texans career if he indeed did have that injury. Now, I don't know what the injury is, but if that's the injury, then he's probably done with the Texans. Good to see you, Dominic. Appreciate the super chat again. Noah looked like a deer in headlights during his interviews yesterday. I disagree, Rick. I felt like he was trying to not give away that Christian Kirk was really hurt. I felt like he was trying not to set too many weird expectations for his debut, and he played the company line perfectly. Like, if Nick Caserio gave him a grade for his interviews yesterday, Nick Caserio would give him an A+, because he didn't really say much. He stayed with himself, whatever the team needs me to do. I thought he played it the exact right way for who he is, and he's just he's not going to be a big braggadocious guy about his opportunity. CJ has to use the legs more this season. Yeah, I agree. And, 10.5 rush yards, the prediction for Stroud in this one, that's one scamper. He could get 11 on an easy one. Oh, yeah, the survivor pool went so poorly week 1 last year, we started a redemption survivor pool after it. UK is 6 hours later than Houston, Spain 7. Primetime games are at 2 a.m. here. LOL, still watch them, though. Okay. And so read, so 6 hours later than Houston. Damn, so the day's almost over there. So, yeah, man, wow. Yeah, primetime games stay up late. I thought the primetime game here was going to be at 2 a.m. last night after the weather delay. I understand it's a safety thing, but weather delays in football just feels un-American. Just saying it. Doyle says, we want photos. Don't king shame us. I was fine with we want photos. The rest, Doyle, I don't know. I don't know about this. With Berrios likely out, who's returning punts? Well, that's another fascinating aspect of the Jalen Knowles situation. He's the punt returner, too. Maybe they could put Tremont Smith or Watson back there, but Berrios and Kirk, who have hamstring injuries, were the starting slot and the backup slot, and the starting punt returner and the backup punt returner. So now it's Knoll for punt returns and Knoll for the slot. Mechie play last night? He did. I saw him on a special teams play. Austin says Kellen Moore is the truth. Kellen Moore I like Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is a nice coach. Kellen Moore is not working with a lot. Not working with a lot there in New Orleans. Could Green come join our practice squad? Like Kenyon Green? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Rob says, I'm so tired of paying guys big money only for them to be hurt and retire months after with no production after the payday. Well, Joe was really good last year, and then he got hurt this year, and if it's long-term serious, that's it. It's unfortunate, but I felt like Mixon was worth every penny last year. Now, does it suck that he's not the running back this year? Certainly. And the momentum stunk. And then they're scoring points, and then everything, the defense is kind of clicked coming out of that big break there. Michael asks a good question. How well do you think Ursary will do against Verse from a scale of 1 to 10? I actually like this matchup a little bit for Ursary. Verse is very athletic. And if he uses speed, Ursary's had more trouble with speed in the preseason than anything else. So if he uses speed against Ursary, he'll have some advantage. If he tries to just get in there and be a bull and bull rush Ursary, that's what Ursary wants. He wants you to try to use power against him. Ariante Ursary, not a small human. I don't know if you noticed this. You try to get in there and use power on a guy like Ursary, he wants to put those big mitts on you and control you physically. That's when he had success in the preseason, is when he got his hands on guys, he locked them up, he fired them off the ball, he moved them out of the way, kept them off the quarterbacks. So if Verse is trying to power through Ursary, he might win that a couple times, but ultimately long-term, that's going to go Ursary's way. The speed is where I worry. And Verse is probably going to go after Titus a couple times too, so that flips things over. So you got a Turner or a Young, or on stunts, you maybe got Fitz coming in there, but power guys are going to have a little bit more trouble, I would think, with Ursary than they expect. He seems ready for some of the power. And I noticed that with the way Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter attacked him, is they didn't try to just kind of go through Ursary in practices. They tried to go around him, and it worked a good amount of time. So speed is what he struggled with more in the preseason from what I saw. But if you try to power with Ursery, you're going to have to do stuff like Daniil did. Daniil got him with a little bit of power, but then hit a spin move off of the power to the quarterback one time in preseason in one of the training camp practices. So there's still a learning element there. I actually think Ursery, from a power perspective, is pretty well set up to handle that at this level. So that's where I am with Ursery versus Verse. You lean probably Verse because reigning defensive rookie of the year, very good football player. But if he tries to power through Ursery, it's not always going to go well for him. Rob says, hey, I agree. Mixon was worth every penny last year, but the money was intended for this year. Yeah, certainly. Now, with it being a non-football injury list, the Texans can go after the cash. Then go after the money. If this is a long-term issue, if Joe Mixon's not going to play ever again, then go after the money. That's a feature of the. Why is my nose itch? I mean, somebody's coming over. My mom always used to say this. Are your nose itches? I mean, someone's coming over with a hole in their britches. I don't know anybody coming over with a hole in their britches. I don't know anybody's coming over here. Mixon was the best player on the field several times last year. Definitely worthy of an extension. Now it looks like a bad call because he's been hurt all offseason. Time to get stingy like Jerry Jones. Yeah, I mean, the Mixon money, you can come after it this year, and it's almost nothing to get rid of him next year. So I'm not super worried about it from that standpoint. Jonathan has a super chat. Jonathan. Jay Clark. Cody, what are your thoughts on Cam Robinson possibly being out and the O-line status for Sunday? With Cam possibly not playing, how is our depth? How do you think they hold up? Well, Robinson was back at practice yesterday, and if he practices today, I would think he's going to be fine for a depth piece at tackle. And then Blake Fisher's got a little bit of an ankle injury, so that's something to monitor if he has to get in there. My hope is that you got Titus Howard, you got Ariante Ursery for the entirety of the game. You don't have to worry about the tackle depth. I would not worry about Robinson until he misses Friday. If he misses Friday for some reason, and it was an illness, I know that's very all-encompassing. It could be from, a cold to a stomach bug. Illness is illness. But Robinson, if he practices today, he'll be good to go. There's your depth. And then Blake Fisher is your backup at right tackle. So I don't love the idea of either of those guys being in there. I'd rather see Ursery and Howard at this point because that's who's practiced together the most. That's the offensive line that's practiced the most. But we shall see. You hope you don't have to go to the depth tackles. That's what I would say. But they should both be available, active. And if not, well, tough. No, caffeine with Cody. I don't know. My nose is not itching because of that. All right. CJ's confident about Sunday. I mean, I can see why you would be. If you love this defense, you feel like the offense is going to have enough. Oh, I know what Dominic's doing. I know what you're doing, Dominic. Good to see you, Travis. Tavis, excuse me. Sorry, I threw an R in there. Tavis Stapleton. Good to see you. Doyle, appreciate you stopping by. Dominic, I see what you're doing here. I know what you want. And look, we give the people what they want here. If you're there, if you get it, we give the people what they want here. All right. Dominic Castillo with the super chat. He says, Hey, bro, Alpha Aaron here. Dominic, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Wags asks, could you see the Texans trading for a running back, maybe like Chuba or that not to be named running back in Indy? Well, I mean, if Jonathan Taylor ever became available, go get him. You got an extra second-round pick next year. Make the trade. He's awesome. He would take this offense to a whole freaking other level by himself. He's a freak. Chuba, probably not. I think they probably want to kind of hang out there and kind of keep things going with him. And then the Texans probably wouldn't make a trade if they had their guys healthy, if Chubb and Pierce and Marks and them stayed healthy, they probably wouldn't make that trade. Now, guys start dropping like flies and you maybe want to make a deal. Certainly, I'd be down for it. Stan Norfleet said it's bad to start Ariante Ursary over the experienced player. Thoughts? Well, he's wrong. Ursary is better. Ursary's ready. And experience doesn't mean you're good. Cam Robinson was very okay last year. And Ursary's better. So if you need to switch, you can always switch. But I don't buy that take. It's not good. It's not a good take. I didn't see Stan at training camp either. So there's that. Tavis is a new member. Thank you, Tavis. Appreciate you becoming a member. Of course, if you're a member, you get access to the custom emojis. You've seen those in the chat. And then you get access to members-only posts on the community post page. You get access to videos early when I post recorded videos. And there might even be some more member perks coming. Certainly appreciate any support you give the channel, from memberships to likes to subscribes to shares to anything. And don't forget to join I'll put it in the description of the video after the video, but don't forget to join the free to join Survivor Pool. Put that link right there in the description. I think we've already had a handful of people from the chat join. If you beat me, you win something. Okay. Does it make sense for Indy to trade JT within the division, though? Yeah, Austin. I mean, there's obviously teams that will avoid that, but if you can you can sweeten the pot enough, you do it. If you're Indy, they could very quickly be in rebuild mode, very quickly. Wags, if Ursary rocks out, can we get a tequila shot since you weren't a fan of the Texans drafting him? Yeah, actually, let me show you something cool. Mama Stoots got me this for my birthday. I want to show you this. All right, we'll put it together each week. And Wags, you'll have to remind me. If we feel like Ursary just absolutely crushed it, we'll do a little tequila shooter here out of my Houston Texans boot shot glass. The cool little, the shot glass is nothing but the shot glass holder. Little Texans boot. Isn't that cool? Mama Stoots got that for me for my birthday. It's very neat. So, all right, Wags. I wasn't a fan of Ursary because I didn't see the role for him in 2025. Obviously became very apparent what the role is when Blake Fisher sucked at what he did and Cam Robinson got hurt. So the role is very clear now. But, yeah, if we feel like after a game Ursary just kicked ass, took names, we'll get you squared away with a tequila shot at some point throughout the course of the week. I like that, Wags. It's a good challenge. And Wags remembers I was not a big Ursary guy. But Ursary is a big guy. Somebody asked about Wags. Non-Texas Talk, thoughts on the whole spitting thing from last night. Idiot. Total idiot. You can't, right in front of the official. You're going to sack him at some point. Spit on him then. Like, hide the spit. But total idiot move. Zach says, if Mixon's out for the majority of the season, no one really steps up. Would you be interested in the Breece Hall trade? I'd be interested in the Breece Hall trade now. But the Jets aren't interested in the Breece Hall trade. I talked to Asman about this. He doesn't understand why everybody thinks the Jets are going to trade Breece Hall. He doesn't believe that Hall's out there. Now, in the middle of the season, things aren't going too hot for the Jets. Maybe they're more willing to, fetter him away. But all right, give me 1 second here.
People, when did you start going live at 10:24?
Well, I've been live for a little while talking Texans. It's Landry Locker, everybody. Say hello to Landry in the chat.
Yeah, meanest thing possible. Meanest thing possible.
To be fair, I asked you on mute, and then you said, yeah, I want to say hi to the people.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
All right, I'll call you after I get off the stream.
This is going to be a quick-ass practice. Seems like it's going to be a very timely manner today.
Well, we're still going to have plenty of observations to the folks on SNL at 4 o'clock today, right?
We will. Hopefully we get to talk to somebody. I feel like they're just setting up an excuse to have the guys dip out. That's kind of how I'm feeling it. It's kind of like when you say I might be late, and then you're late. When you say I feel like they're trying to dip out a little bit.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll try to hold their feet to the fire today when I get there.
Yes, sir.
See ya. All right, Landry Locker, a little appearance there on the phone. One of the only people that can break through the do not disturb that I have set on the phone. Oh, people like the boot shot class. Brandon says, you told me Cody was Andy Reid's son. I would not debate you. Wait till I put on a Hawaiian shirt. We're saying Dak spit first. I haven't seen now there's a second spitter. I haven't seen the Dak spits first. Tavis likes him some Landry Locker. Taze as well. We're going with the second spitter. The second spitter. Oh, Calculon with the conspiracy theory. Wag says, stop smoking that high-grade stuff, Landry. Hey, now to be fair, he does it only on his leisure time. He's a professional. I have not seen the Dak spit first conspiracy. That's a real thing, huh? Did perhaps Dak have spittle come out when he was talking? Let's see here. Dak spit first, huh? Let me go take a look here. See, is there a video of Dak? Okay, well, all right. I'm looking at this video here. Dak spit at the ground. Jalen Carter spit on him. So it's a little bit different. Dak spit in his general direction. Jalen Carter spit on him. Okay. I just saw that for the first time. That could have been just general conversation. So, all right. Housekeeping stuff. SNL today, 4 o'clock. SNL next week, Spanky's. We were out there yesterday. The folks at Spanky's are so excited to have us out there a week from today. Live broadcast next Friday at Spanky's on Bel Air in Sharpstown. 7118 Bel Air Boulevard. Be there 4 o'clock. If you can't get there at 4 o'clock, get there at 5. We'll still be out there hanging out. Beer, drinks, pizza, wings, whatever you might want. Love the food at Spanky's. Love the people at Spanky's. And they are pumped to have SNL and the entire SNL universe there with us on Friday, a week from today. You cannot miss this one. And if you miss it, we'll be at Spanky's again later. But don't miss this one. This is the first one, kind of getting the season started. It's going to be a blast. Spanky's at 4 o'clock, live show. We'll be there a little early, get this thing set up. You'll want to get there early, get you a table. Do not miss out on the Spanky's live broadcast. Join the Survivor Pool. That is at it's in the chat somewhere. I'll put it in the description of the video after this video is over. So join the Survivor Pool. Houston Football's got some great stuff. SNL. Make sure I'm not missing any super chats before we finish. What do you think is going on with Barrios? They gave out some info on Kirk was silent on Barrios. Aaron Wilson says it's not going to be too long on Barrios. He's also got a hamstring injury. So there's that. Do we have to RSVP? You do not. Just show up. Show up and hang out. Show up and hang out. There may be a live food review at the Spanky's. There may be. There may be. Rick says, second person always gets bit by the rattlesnake. Yeah, you shouldn't have spit. Brees Hall available for trade, maybe? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think he's available right now. If they go south, maybe they want to get rid of him, but I don't believe him to be available right now. Middle of the season, maybe, but right now, not available. Thank you for the super chat, Daniel. Bobby said, so your stash looks like Rick Rude's. Well, that's kind. That's kind of you. I don't look like Rick Rude, but I appreciate that you think the stash looks nice. Ever thought about a Hogan stash? So Hogan's goes, down. The problem is my mustache grows it grows that way. So it doesn't grow straight down. So I can't Hogan it. So it just goes out like this. So it would look funny if I did it like that because it doesn't go down. So the Fu Manchu is hard for me to do because it doesn't grow down. It grows out. So the Rick Rude, if you will, it's very kind. That's the best I can do here. Best I can do. So, all right, Survivor Pool, Houston football. Member, if you want to be part of some of the fancy member stuff. This was our sleeper pick as well for today. All right, code STOOTS, STOOTS, STOOTS to get your deposit match up to $100. And SNL today at 4. Pretend you never watched the Texans play before this preseason just based on watching practice. Who would you say is their best player? Will Anderson. It's a good question. It's a good way to look at it, Danny. It's a good question. Yeah, Will Anderson would be the best. He's a freak. He's going to be awesome. I'm going to bet him to win Defensive Player of the Year. So there's that. I know Patrick's in here, so we're going to set the outro video. He knows what's coming. And we end the live streams the same way each and every time. This is my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hip-hoppity, dip-doppity-doo.